Perfect Picture Day. That's very important here today. So if you guys can just start by introducing yourselves, say your name, where you're from, and how you learned about Church Farm School, that'd be awesome. So now we'll start with you.
I'm going to ask that you use the microphone.
Okay.
Thanks, Cliff.
Hi, my name is Nam, and I'm a senior at CFS. I come from Vietnam originally, but I've been in the US for 5 years now. So before I came to CFS, I was at a private school in Texas for an exchange program. And I came to a boarding school fair without knowing what a boarding school was. I saw Mr. Ziegler, who was the admissions director at the time at the fair, and I had a really long conversation with him. He started showing me pictures of CFS, and we started talking about like the educational model here. And I instantly at that time fell in love with Church Farm. When afterwards, I had an interview with him, an admissions interview, and that solidified it more. And I just loved an environment where everyone was able to appreciate and cherish each other for who they were, an environment with cultural, with ethnic diversity, and an environment where I could express myself. And I found that at Church Farm. That's how I learned about it.
Hi. So my name is Joseph, and I'm from New Jersey, and I'm a senior here. And I guess I learned about Church Farm through my program, New Jersey Seeds, which helps low-income families like apply to independent boarding schools, and yeah, that's all I got.
Hello, I'm Chase Engel. I am a senior here at Church Farm. I come from Newark, New Jersey, but I originally lived in Los Angeles, California. I found out about Church Farm School through my feeder program. When I was going to school in Newark, I didn't like the educational opportunities I had, so I was looking for what was available. And back at the time, I had never heard of a boarding school. So the White Foundation helped me find Church Farm School, and so far I've had such a good experience learning to express myself and enjoy all the extracurricular activities that are available here. I've had a great time.
I'm Anthony Thompson. I'm a senior as well. I'm originally from Newark, Delaware, so we're about an hour away. I found out about Church Farm School when my mother and father went to a wedding and they met Mr. Garcia, and my mom started talking about education, and then somehow, some way, he found out, and then he talked about how he worked here, and they said that, well, maybe you should think of applying. My mother wasn't very fond of the idea of me going to boarding school, but she weighed her pros and cons, and she ultimately decided to send me here, and I can say that I had a very good experience here. I've been here since I was in 8th grade, so this is my 5th year here. Coming from that middle school, it's no longer here, but just having that experience and being able to be here for the 5 years, it's honestly been a very good experience that I wouldn't trade for anything. So.
Great. So just so you guys all know, we're really intentional about having our students have a meaningful summer experience before they graduate from Church Farm School. So a colleague of mine and some other folks, including advisors, work with our students, especially going into that junior and senior year, so that they have what I consider a meaningful opportunity during the summer months. That could be employment, that could be at a college or institution, that could be getting volunteer experience, all of these types of opportunities, because we want our students to be exposed, have opportunities, know what they like, know what they don't like before applying to college during that senior year. So if you guys can just go over and tell us what you did this summer, your program that you did, and what you got out of it, that'd be great.
So this summer, the special thing that I did was that I went to a program by the New York Times. It was about investigative journalism, and basically the intersection between journalism and politics, because I am very interested in legal studies and in politics. So at the New York Times, I had the opportunity to work with Pulitzer Prize winning journalists and in developing models to propel the art of investigative journalism. So I tracked drone, everything. I did everything from tracking drone strikes in Syria and Iraq to tracking to see which schools online are fake schools and see which schools are for profit. And we did a variety of different projects, and I wrote many op-eds and even an article about cybersecurity law and how cyber espionage is working in Asia, especially in Vietnam. So it was truly an incredible experience, and I got to meet these incredible people, professors from many different law schools in New York, the president of the ACLU who defended Snowden. So just many amazing people that I learned so much from. And also I developed a love for writing, for journalism, and also for the intersection between, as I said, journalism and politics. So I thought that was something that I really gained out of it. So it has really molded my interest towards journalistic law. I want to pursue First Amendment law and basically defend First Amendment rights and free speech rights in America.
Yeah, so this summer I went to Lehigh University to attend a business program called LEAD, and I had a lot of fun over there because like really going into the program, I didn't know what business was. Like I knew business was handling money and how to interact with different people, but I really didn't know what it was. And thankfully, with the help of Ms. Scott and Mr. Cheryl, I was able to go down there for 3 weeks and really take in everything and learn a lot about business. So during my 3 weeks there, I was living in the dorms, eating there, using all their facilities, and I was attending a class. I was attending classes with all the professors and really learning about the different aspects of business. So each class would talk about a different aspect, like marketing, accounting, human resources, and I found it really interesting, and it really it gave me the foundation that I needed to solidify my interest in business. And not only did we attend classes, but they also took us on a lot of corporate visits so we could talk to owners and big people in the business world. So we went to local restaurants, an Amazon warehouse. They also took us down to Philly to visit Urban Outfitters headquarters, and we went to New York to talk to some big account firms like PwC and KPMG, and I just had a lot of fun. And throughout those 3 weeks, they had us do a project where we had to build our own company. So it was me and a couple of friends that we got paired up with, and we made an app to help educate the youth about voting, because we realized that not enough young people are getting out there and voting, and we realized that was interfering with the political landscape of the U.S. So I had a lot of fun over there, and since it was at Lehigh, it was especially helpful because I'm considering applying to Lehigh this upcoming fall.
So last year I was thinking about what summer activity I would want to involve myself in. Prior years I had been a part of community service and I've gone to programs, but I wanted to do something really special. I found out about a few programs that could send me abroad. I had never left the United States before, so I was really excited about that. I applied to some programs primarily in Asia, and I was accepted into the Korea Peace and Contemporary Culture program through the program, the Experiment in International Living. So throughout the month of July, I flew into Incheon and then drove into Seoul, South Korea, and there I was introduced to the language and the culture, and that was the first time I'd ever been so far from home and so excited as well. When I got there, despite the fact that I had had such a long flight and and that I should have been tired because the time difference was 13 hours, I did not sleep. And I was always ready to get up the next day and walk around the area. We also talked about peace studies, so I was able to learn about the different perspectives involving North Korea and how in the future how conversations between South and North Korea might come about, and what kind of issues would happen should North Korea say be a part of South Korea, or what other actions they would take. I even got the chance to go to the demilitarized zone between the two countries, and I was able to see a statue of Kim Il-sung, I believe, like on the horizon, and I thought that was amazing. Besides talking about North Korean peace studies, I also got to experience Seoul, South Korea, and Busan, and Gwangju, and learn about some of the more recent history. I learned about the Gwangju Uprising, which was a people's fight against the militarized government, and they wanted democratic rule, and how violently the government reacted to their peaceful protests. It's a part of history that I think is really awesome that not many people know about. I think one of the best highlights though was visiting a Buddhist temple, and I got to wake up at 5:30 in the morning and bow 108 times, and then right after have tea with a Buddhist monk, and even after got to climb a mountain, and the scenery was beautiful. So yeah, I really enjoyed my experience, and I cannot wait in the future to go abroad again.
That was a hard act to follow. So I had the opportunity to go to the Global Citizenship Institute at the St. Mark's School, which I know Mr. Wilson has helped us to go for the past couple of summers. So it was a week-long experience, and so its whole kind of basis is just having a couple people from schools in Massachusetts, and we have 4 boys that went this year, as well as 2 teachers that went as well. And we just kind of talked about culture and kind of just the globe and the world, and just kind of our relationship with other people, how we kind of interact with others. It was kind of an experience that helped me to further understand that I kind of have a love for anthropology, and kind of understanding cultures and understanding what makes us people, kind of understanding the basis of like culture and like the world and how we kind of are with each other. We also had the opportunity to go into Boston during the time, and we went on the old trail, kind of looking at the history of Boston, and like seeing the cemetery with graves and John Adams and different people and stuff like that. So yeah, very, very hard act to follow, but.
Chase, do you want to tell them what you told me a couple of weeks ago, since you had such a wonderful time in Korea?
I am looking to go to college in Korea, possibly. There are a few programs out there for people who don't speak Korean very well. So yeah, I'm looking towards that as a potential opportunity.
Yeah, so his college counselor is completely but it's a very good thing that he'll be able to look into those opportunities. So you guys talked a lot about how your summer went, what you learned from it. I just want you to talk a little bit more about how going to those summer programs kind of influenced what you would like to do in the future, and how it's kind of marked your trajectory in the college process and the school that you're selecting to apply to.
So as I said, it kind of helped me kind of view that I like anthropology, and I have a love for that kind of stuff, and the looking for culture and kind of understanding what makes us people. So it kind of helped me to understand that I kind of like would like to go to a liberal arts college, a small liberal arts college, as well as being at school here. Having that small community, having that liberal arts education, I think is something that would be very, very beneficial to me, because I personally don't really know what I want to do. I know that I like anthropology, I know that I like music, I know that I like things, but I don't know what I actually like, if that makes sense. So kind of that whole experience has helped me kind of shape that I really do like a small liberal arts college and would like to look towards those opportunities.
So, I have similar aspirations to him in some senses because I'm also interested in anthropology, and also going to South Korea helped me realize how interesting I found language and linguistics. So potentially like linguistic anthropology, or maybe just learning Korean. Anything that involves learning about someone else's perspective and learning about different aspects of the global community is very interesting to me, and my trip made it more evident to me than ever before.
Yeah, so for me, the most important thing that the LEAD program gave me is it gave me a lot of different, it just gave me a lot of different perspective on what business is. So really attending all those classes and seeing what it's like to be a business major in college, and going to all those corporate visits and seeing how these companies interact with each other and with the economy. Very much interested me, and working on that project also got me very interested because I got to apply what I was learning in the classroom and during these corporate visits, so I can actually start my own company. And like I said before, it was at Lehigh, and Lehigh is very high on my list to apply. So I also did realize that I want to go to a slightly larger school, because before this I thought that I wanted to go to like a smaller campus with a smaller community, but I did realize that I do like larger school communities.
So for me, my summer experience really did solidify my love for the legal profession, and also for basically political science, because normally I'm very daunted by the word science, because the scientific process has never been something that I'm very fond of. But over the summer, using like methodical work, like investigative journalism, is a lot of scientific processes, a lot of data analysis, a lot of like computer modeling. It's really intensive scientific work, and I became a lot more well versed in the science part of the political science. And I also developed a love for nonfiction writing. So normally I'm a very creative writer, and I just like to like free verse and write poetry and all that kind of stuff. But over the summer, writing a lot of opinion pieces and articles and writing a whole investigative pitch really like gave me a love for nonfiction writing, for writing using data, using facts rather than just emotions. And I think that really helped me as a writer. And also, there was one conversation that really stood out for me over the summer. I don't know if you've seen the movie Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, but I got to talk to Kim Barker, who the journalist who was basically the protagonist in the movie, and she spent her career in Pakistan. She was in the midst of the war zone, and we were able to talk to her and talk to her about like, the courage that it took her to be able to wake up in the morning and to deliver news in the middle of the war zone, sometimes just by herself. It was really inspiring, and I thought if someone was able to go that far to deliver news and to defend human rights, then I think that I could be able to do the same thing. So it has developed my love for wanting to be a human rights lawyer, wanting to work in different areas rather than the U.S. For example, I would love to work in the Middle East, perhaps for the United Nations, or for other international organizations like Amnesty International, working to protect and defend the free speech rights of people, not just in the U.S., but also around the world.
So we talked a lot about the wonderful things that you learned and gained. Were there any struggles with your summer programs, and what did you get from those struggles? How did you overcome them?
I thought it was a lot of work at first, because when we came into the New York Times headquarters, we were asked that for the duration of the program, that afterwards we would have to write our own investigative pitch. And an investigative pitch is normally a decently sized document that has most of your research. Basically, you're going to present it to a news organization like the New York Times or Washington Post, and it has to have all your research in there compiled about one topic. And the duration of the program was only a little over 2 weeks. So during that time, there was many nights that I had to stay up. I had to do a lot of research. I had to build a whole computer model tracking cyber espionage activities in Asia. It was really intensive work. And in the morning, we would have not necessarily classes, but like one-on-one or like work section with a journalist at the New York Times. In the afternoon, we would have practicum time, which is time for us to basically work on our investigative pitch. And during the afternoon, like it would be completely silent because everyone would be very, very invested in their work. And I thought that was really cool, but it was also like a very demanding and intensive environment.
Most challenging thing that I did over the summer at this program was actually doing the project. So it sounds pretty easy on paper, like, yeah, just come up with the company, come up with a product, and try to sell it to a crowd of people. Well, it's not that easy. Because my teammates were like all over the U.S., we're from all over the U.S., we got a lot of different perspectives, and we found that the most challenging part about that project is actually coming up with the company and what we actually want to do. So we spent like 4 straight days just like throwing random ideas. We came up with the craziest things ever, and like eventually we just started narrowing it down until we found something that is reasonable to do and something that we are truly passionate about. And we chose the voting part because we are the youth of the nation, and we find that our generation doesn't vote enough. So we thought that it was important to get something out there to educate young people on voting. But that project required like a lot of work. We had to talk with several different people. We even contacted one person from KPMG because they said that they were also interested in our business model, and we had to stay up late, like lots of nights. We had to go to the library and go through books and books and books to like find the proper information that we needed to do the entire project. And once we presented it, like all the butterflies in my stomach like went out, and I was just going off the top of my head, and it really came out nice. And my group even won the competition, so we had the best business model, and we were invited to go down to Atlanta, Georgia, and present this company to like a group of investors so we could actually get this company like started up, but we chose not to.
So when throughout the month in South Korea, there's a week designated to staying with the host family. Now in South Korea, the younger generations more and more often speak English. So I'd say about 20% of the Korean population speaks English pretty well. And I was very hopeful that my family would be able to speak at least some English, and that did not happen. So when I arrived, I was so confused. They showed me, my host family was really nice, and they showed me to my room. I didn't really know what to do. I felt awkward. I couldn't understand what they were saying. But they kind of helped me like feel a part of the family just by making some cold noodles, and they taught me how to divide the noodles apart, I guess, and how to make a meal you might eat in South Korea. And I was still confused because I didn't know what they were talking about, and it turns out Google Translate is a horrible translator. So to get around that, we did things that maybe didn't require language ability as much. So I went to a board game cafe with my 2 younger host siblings. We ate a lot of food. That's a good way. You know, if you want to give me food, it's a good way to get past the language. But yeah, definitely speaking in South Korea and learning to get around that with the little the little Korean I know was definitely the biggest challenge for me.
So I'd like to open it up for you all if you have questions of our panelists. For summer or anything else. Okay, sure.
I just want to compliment, this is always a highlight for me, coming to this particular event, hear individuals such as we've heard from today. It's exciting to know that the next generation can have hope for the next generation. And obviously, it's also a compliment to what Church Farm School offers for these young men and others with them. So again, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for your future because obviously you're taking advantage of the opportunities that Church Farm has afforded you. It's very exciting to hear you speak. So thank you for making this morning.
Tiffany, how do you go out and find opportunities for the students?
It's a collective. So what Wayne and Steph Brzezinski have actually started to do is keep a database. And so we're trying to keep track of all of the programs our students have done, all the stuff that we hear about. And so as I get information, and sometimes it's an email, sometimes it's actual physical mailed information, sometimes it's just through our contacts, sometimes it's through the admissions rep or something like that. And we try to keep all of that information in one space so that our students have those opportunities. Mr. Bala offers for our young men, usually in January, February, an opportunity to sit down, have a conversation about college programs, things that they might want to think about during the summer. For some of our students, they find out about programs through their feeder program. So a lot of our foundations that work with us, you know, New Jersey Seas, Hawaii Foundation, all of our scholars, they will also help and promote that as well, some programs, and help provide some financial support for those things as well. And then we also just have our own internal networks of things. And as kids come and they ask us about things, and we just try to work with them as well. Sometimes they find them on their own, and sometimes we are very strategic and we're like, you really need to try, go ahead and do this. So one of the programs that wasn't represented here that's done really well by our students is a program in New York City called All-Star Code. It is a coding program for underrepresented males. And basically what they do for 6 weeks is that they learn how to code. They go visit companies like Twitter and Uber and Google, and provide them with transportation. They give them a lunch stipend. They give them a laptop that they can keep. And we've had students for the last 3 to 4 years, every summer, participate in that program. And for those students, it's been life-changing. They've learned that, you know, they want to go into computer coding. They know that they have what it takes to be successful in corporate America. So there are some programs almost like our feeder, we kind of feed them a little bit too. They know that they can get strong quality candidates